Hello students, at this moment please pause the video and go and complete the daily check-in for attendance purposes. I repeat, please go and complete the daily check-in for today for attendance. If you do not mark that in attendance, the check-in, you will be counted absent. So today we are going to look at multi-rep functions and evaluating. First of all, we're going to look at multiple representations. So what does multiple representations mean? That means that we can represent data in multiple different ways. These are the 4 ways that we can represent data. We can represent it as a table, as a graph, ordered pair, and mapping. So if you notice, that's the same numbers that are on the table are represented as a point, the x and the y values. And then we move on to ordered pairs. This is what it looks like as an ordered pair. And then on the mapping diagram, again, we have the same points listed, and on the mapping diagram, they're listed from smallest to biggest. So next, we have an example that we're going to do together. We have a graph with exact points that we are going to list on the table and then map them out. First of all, I'm going to take each point just like we did yesterday from smallest to biggest, and I'm going to find the x values by taking the point and running a line to the x-axis. So that one has a point at -1. The x value is at -1. This next point has an x value at -2. The next point has an x value at 1. The next one at 2. And the last one is at 5. Now we're going to take those exact points and I'm going to match them up with its matching y value. So the point here that has an x value at +2, it has an x value at -5. And then I come across, I'm going to go to this point right here. This -2, if I go to the y-axis, it has a y value at 0. If I go to this point right here, the -3 and the +5, they both have a y value at 1. And then my last point, the one that had an x value, as you can see, at 1, it has a y value at +4. So those are my points listed as a table. And now I'm going to take those exact points and I'm going to list them on the mapping diagram. Now when we list them on the mapping diagram, the x values are on the left and we write them from smallest to biggest. So as you can see, they are already listed from smallest to biggest. If they were to repeat, we would only write the number 1 time. And our y values are on the right of the mapping diagram. And again, we write them from smallest to biggest, and we only write the number once. So my smallest number here is -5. Then we have 0, 1, and then 4. Now I'm going to take the mapping and I'm going to match each number with its matching point, each x value with its matching y value. So -3 went with +1, so draw an arrow over. -2 went with 0. 1 went with 4. 2 went with -5. And 5 also went with 1 right here. So there is my mapping diagram. I'm going to do one more example just in case you did not get that. This time I'm going to find the x and the y value of each point at the same time. So for this first point right here, I can see that my x value is 1 and my y value is 3. Therefore, my point is 1, 3. So I'm going to put 1 and 3 over here. Now if we look at our next point right here, the x value is 2 and the y value is 4, so therefore my ordered pair is 2, 4. And then we move on to the next point here, and that one has an x value of 3 and a y value of 1. So my ordered pair is 3, 1. And my last point has an x value of 4 and a y value of 3. So my point is 4, 3. So 4, 3 on the table. Okay, now for the mapping again. From smallest to biggest, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then for our y values, we have 1, 3, and 4. And remember, you do not repeat them. So now 1 goes with 3, 2 and 4, 3 and 1, and then 4 and 3. Okay, next one is function or not. So is something a function or is it not a function? Okay, so there are different ways, remember, to identify if it is a function, either from a table, a graph, an ordered pair, or mapping. Please pause this video and take notes on how you can find the function or not a function from each type. So from a table, no x can repeat, so the left side of the table cannot have the same number. From graphing, it must pass that vertical line test. The line can only hit one spot on the graph when you make a vertical line. Ordered pairs, the x's again cannot repeat. The x is the first number in each pair. So the x value cannot repeat, that first number right here. And from the mapping, again, no x can repeat. So on the mapping, it looks like when only one arrow comes out of each x value. So if you have an x value over here on the mapping, if you have your x values over here, you cannot have more than one arrow coming out of one number. If you do, that is not a function, okay? Only one arrow from each x value. So now let's go ahead and identify which graphs are a function. If I were you right now, just to practice, I would pause the video right now and try it on your own to see if you can remember from a graph if it's a function. So looking at the first one, when I take my vertical line test, so basically you're taking a vertical line and you're moving it up and down your graph. If at any point on the graph you are touching the red line more than once, then it is not a function. So notice right here, on this point it's 1, this point it's 1, but right here it is more than 1 point right there that you're touching the graph. So this one is not a function. Now let's come over to this line right here. This is already a vertical line. So when you put a vertical line on top of a vertical line, that means that you are touching the graph in all of these points right there. So that again is not a function. It fails the test. Now let's take a look at these points over here. If I run a vertical line through these points right here, even though I kind of missed it, notice that we hit 2 points on this part. That one is 1, but since it already failed the test, it fails the test over here too. There is 2 points at the same time on this vertical line, so again, that is not a function. But if we take a vertical line and move it anywhere on this graph right here, up and down, notice how at each point you put the vertical line, you're only touching the graph once. So this graph right here is a function. Okay, now this one says, which represents y as a function of x. So this right here, guys, basically means when you see this fancy language right here, that's just asking, is it a function? Okay? Sorry, function. So now let's go ahead and look from mapping and from a table and from ordered pairs. Can you tell if this is a function or not? So if we look at this mapping diagram right here, this one has this -1, it just has one arrow coming out of it. But this 0 is going to the 1 and the 4. That means it is not a function. So this one is not a function. If we look at this mapping over here, 1 is going to C, 5 is going to A, and 8 is going to B. Notice they only have one line coming out of each x value. So this one is a function. Now let's look down here at the ordered pairs. We want to just look at the x values, the first number in each ordered pair. Since these two numbers are the same, that means your x repeats. So it is not a function. And then the last one here from a table. Again, we are only looking at the x values. So do any of these x values repeat here? -2 and +2 are not the same number, so they do not repeat. -1 and 1 are different. 0, there's no other 0 for the x's, so then this one also checks out. It is a function. We are not looking to see if the y's repeat, okay? We are only looking at the x's for function or not a function. Okay, next part here, we have evaluating functions. So think about a machine. When you input something into a machine, you input something, we are actually inputting our x. So you input the x into the function machine, and what comes out is your output, which is your f of x, also known as y, okay? So input x, output comes out y. So for example, like when your shirt, okay? Your shirt didn't just become a shirt. It actually went into the factory as just cotton, and then it came out as a shirt. So your input is the cotton, your output is the shirt. Same process here, we're just dealing with numbers. Okay, so now we are going to look at evaluating functions from the multiple representations, from a table, a graph, ordered pair, and mapping. Please write these down, and as you write them down, please read what they are explaining, and then on the next slide we will go over them. Okay, so from an equation, we are going to evaluate the following equation when x is -3, 0, and 2. Therefore, since they are giving us the input, we are looking for the output. So, on the side right here, I'm going to have my equation 3 times, but in place of the x, I'm going to leave it blank and leave a parentheses. So again, I'm writing it 3 times and leaving the x blank, but replacing it with parentheses. So for the first one, When I input -3 in here, that's my x value, I'm going to input -3. What is my output, my y value? So go ahead and evaluate that. Now we're going to do the same thing for 0 and 2. Okay? So go ahead and calculate those real quick and see what do you get for your y values. Okay, so I have evaluated each one of these for these x values, and my output values have come out. I have when x is -3, y is 11. When x is 0, y is 5. When x is 2, y is 1. Please go ahead and make sure you check those values. I might have made a mistake. If I did, please let me know. So we have 11, 5, and 1. Okay, now I would like you to try this one right here for practice and see what you get. I will be asking you for this answer during tomorrow's class. Okay guys, so that is all for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please make sure you go and complete your quick check that is located on Schoology while the material is fresh in your head right now. If you need help, you can email me or you can wait till tomorrow during class and you can ask me those questions. I will be here on Friday. But please try to do as much as you can so that you are ready and prepared for that exam in probably less than a week and a half now. So y'all have a great day and I will see you on Friday.